Along the Rock, brought to you by the Radar Free Press. I am your host, Kaitlyn Blum. Today with us, we have Eric Ferguson. How are you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, doing fine, doing just fine. So today you're here to talk to us about your newest novel, which is called The Protector of Dunbar. So can you tell us, to just start off, like a little bit about the novel?
Okay. Well, my first book was The Adventures of Andrew Dunbar, and when I finished it, I kind of left off a point where I wanted to do a sequel, and so I got into some writing, and I came up with The Protector of Dunbar. I always felt like Sara was such a interesting character in the first book, and I felt like she would be a great protagonist and be a good lead character in the book. So I dug in and started thinking about ways in which she could be kind of the leader of Dunbar in the second book. The story starts off with kind of an attack on the castle. They live in Dunbar, which is on an island. There's 5 kingdoms on this island. And there's this big attack, and Andrew is not there. He is away off the island. And so Sara has to take over and kind of lead her kingdom against these enemies. That it's in the middle of the night, so they don't know who it is, but she has to take over and be kind of the leader of her kingdom. And she ends up being the protector of Dunbar through the story.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what brought you to create the world of Dunbar?
Well, I always liked like the Lord of the Rings and C.S. Lewis, kind of that style of fantasy. And so when it came time to write, I wanted to write something a little bit similar to that, without the creatures and the dragons, but with more of a moral kind of story to it. So the story takes place in Dunbar, which is kind of like real-life Scotland and Ireland, which is my background. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to come up with a young character who has courage and strength and perseverance, and a lot of action in both of these books.
Okay, can you tell us more about Queen Sara?
So in the first book, Andrew's wife dies in a horrible situation, and Andrew becomes very depressed, and he later in the book finds Sara, and right away they have a connection. Sara is so talented in many aspects. She is great at music, riding horses. She's very learned, very educated, and she kind of takes Andrew's heart right away, and it's kind of love at first sight. And so they end up getting married in the first book. In the second book, which is more about her, she's the queen, Andrew's away, like I said before, and she has to kind of rally the troops, and she has to protect the kingdom from these invaders. And she actually has a fighting scene in the story where she has to go out and fight the invading king. And she's been taught by Andrew to do this, and it's kind of a surprise to the kingdom that she can do this. But I don't want to give away too much of the book, but she saves the kingdom.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool to see.
So she's strong, she's intelligent, she's beautiful, and she has a good moral compass to her, which is what I wanted to portray in her.
Awesome, strong leadership qualities.
Yep.
There you go. So I was going to ask you, did you plan on continuing the series after this?
I would love to continue the series. I have ideas for a third and kind of a final one. I'd like to call it The End of Dunbar. And I also have an idea about a prequel, how this story all gets started hundreds of years before this. So I have some ideas on that. It takes a while to get the juices going again and the writing going again. So I have some other kind of projects going on right now too. So
yeah. So what would you say to someone who's like, well, I actually kind of think about like writing a fantasy novel, or like they're young and they like writing, like?
I would say go for it. I don't have any like professional training in writing. I had never written anything before I came out with my first book. I just went for it and I just did it. So I would tell young writers, don't be dissuaded. Just if you have a passion for it, just go for it. Put your heart into it, put your soul into it, and you never know what's going to happen. And there's avenues out there to help you. I didn't know anything about publishing, So I took a class at Sauk Valley College on publishing, and that's how I got the idea on that. So just follow, I guess it's kind of corny, but follow your dreams, right?
That's good advice.
Yeah.
That's really good advice. So how can I go about getting my hands on one of these books?
So both books are published through Credo House Publishing Company, and they have a website, but Amazon's your easiest go-to. So if you go to Amazon, you just type in the name of the books or my name, you can get them on Amazon. I also have a few of the books at Books on First in Dixon. I've done a book signing there before, so I left a couple of them there, and you can get them there as well.
Easy enough. So I always love to end on like a fun note. So if The Adventures of Andrew Dunbar were turned into a movie, who would you cast to be Andrew and Sara?
I'm not like current on like a lot of the movie stars today, so I guess I'll go old school and say Tom Cruise maybe would be a good Andrew.
Okay.
Because it's a very adventuresome. And as far as Sara goes, wow, I don't know if there's anybody good enough to portray Sara Dunbar. She is that awesome of a character.
That's great to hear. That makes me want to read her story even more.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Eric, for coming here today and chatting with me.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, and I wanted to say thank you to our listeners and to our production crew. Remember that the Radar Free Press is free for all, so your likes, your shares, your comments all help us out. And if you want to see more stories like these, please check out theradar.online.